Like and subscribe to Gillygabyte.
Game on, everybody, and welcome to another video. Today I wanted to showcase to you guys my Trickstar Despia deck. I theory crafted this deck very extensively and I think I'm onto something. So without giving too much spoiler, and before I kind of just showcase to you guys my spreadsheet, I highly recommend you guys watch this video thoroughly so then that way you can understand all the different choices along the way. I will say, however, this technically has more consistency than the World Champions deck Ryan Yu back in 2019 for the Droll and Lock combo percentage. And if one thing that our Trickstars are known for is the Droll and Lock combo. So that data will be represented here. So the deck is 45 counts, and of course 15 in the extra and 15 in the side. I do play 6 different hand traps, and that is actually my max currently with this list. I haven't quite figured out if I wanted to play more. I'm kind of going for an all gas kind of build, but the probability you can see is opening 1 hand trap is about 52%, and opening 2 of them would be 12%. More info in that. This is all pretty self-explanatory, but you can see that I have a percentage right over here in regards to the average percentage of reaching my game plan is what I like to call it, out of 1 million hands, and game plan or opening 2 or plus hand traps within 1 million hands average will be represented here. I also will give you guys the math breakdown as to how often or how frequent this current build can Droll and Lock combo, and this was tested after 2 million hands, and I'll give the difference between the original 2019 Droll and Lock deck build from Ryan Yu in comparison to mine and see how consistent it is. And as a bonus, I also incorporated, because I'm playing Extravagance, which you will see, but I incorporated the Droll and Lock combo percentage with Extravagance, and then this will be Prosperity, as you guys can see right here. So yeah, there's all that, but let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile, and I hope you guys stick around to see why and how I got these numbers. Starting off with their Despia cards, I play 3 Aluber, the Jester of Despia, one of the main normal summons for the deck to basically get that engine going. Hands down the best card for the Despia strategy. I also play 2 Despian Tragedy. I almost wanted to play one of these, but it'll make sense why I'm playing 2. Within the deck, there's also 1 Ad Libitum of Despia and 2 Fallen of Albaz. A staple for this format, I play 3 Branded Fusion, 3 Branded Opening, 2 Branded in Red, and 1 Despia Theater of the Branded. So that's currently what I'm running for the Despia engine. You can see that I elected not to play Comedy or Dramaturge. Comedy is great, but I feel like a lot of decks are not playing Effect Veiler or Imperm, but if they end up doing so, you can definitely consider playing 1 Comedy within the deck. I was just really trying to keep the deck no more than 45. I really try to keep it to 40, but running my calculations, I actually found out playing a 45 count deck was actually more consistent for my strategy. It's weird, but I'll explain that when we get there. But Dramaturge is great, but I think it's one of the more easier cuttable cards. Unless you're playing pure, you should definitely play 1 Comedy and 1 Dramaturge, but because I'm using it as like a secondary strategy, I feel like these ratios are pretty optimal. Onto the Trickstar cards, I play 3 Trickstar Candina, 2 Trickstar Lycoris, 2 Trickstar Corobane, and 1 Trickstar Lilybell. Onto the spells, I play 2 Trickstar Lightstage, of course, semi-limited off the ban list, and maybe in the future it'll go to 3. But once this was released to 2, I felt like this deck was definitely optimal to play, or at least playable to some degree. And onto the trap cards, I play 3 Trickstar Reincarnations. This is a very iconic card with the strategy, and I kind of, it's a little degenerate what I do with it. You'll see what's going to happen. Moving on to the staples, I play 1 Terraforming. Any deck that revolves around a field spell, this is a must, of course. I play 1 Call by the Grave because it's a combo staple. 3 Pot of Extravagance because it's just Pot of Greed in the deck. And my absolute favorite card, 3 Small World. If you play the correct bridges, which I'll get to shortly, you can essentially play 6 Alubers, 6 Candinas. Well, I mean, I guess 8 because Trickstar Lightstage is to 2. This card just raises the consistency greatly, and let's go ahead and move on to the bridge cards. I almost forgot. 3 Droll and Lockbird. This is the hand trap of choice. And now moving on to the bridge, I play 3 PSY-Framegear Gamma. And the 1 driver, but we don't talk about him. Anyways, back to the Gamma. This card is the main bridge, and it is actually usable for the 2nd and 3rd copy as those bridges, where you can reveal a Trickstar card, bridge into Gamma that bridges into any of your Despia cards. And by that I mean like it searches you Aluber, which gets the whole Branded Fusion engine going. And alternatively, you can go ahead and use this as a bridge to search Droll and Lockbird. If you end up opening Trickstar Reincarnation with Candina search another Trickstar Reincarnation, and then you can bridge whatever card essentially from Aluber or the other Trickstar cards into Gamma to search Droll and Lockbird. fantastic. I probably have some test hands or example hands to show you guys in this video. Depending, I don't want to make the video too long, but I think it might actually be worth it, so I'll probably throw something in. That was the main deck. Let's go ahead and go over to the extra deck. Like I said, Pot of Extravagance, it's basically Pot of Greed. So to maximize our consistency, we play 3 Mirrorjade, the Iceblade Dragon. We play 3 copies because we're playing Extravagance. If you play Prosperity, I have the math for that too, so if you guys can afford it, but you'll see if is it really worth it. I'll talk about that more later, but play 3 Mirrorjade, the Iceblade Dragons. That is essentially our go-to boss monster, one of our go-to boss monsters for the Despia strategy. I play 3 Lubellion, we just have to max out on these dragons, 3 Albion the branded dragons, and I play 2 Guardian Chimera, the other boss monster. And if you really want to double down on the burn aspect of this strategy, we can play 2 Masquerade the Blazing Dragon. Kind of annoying, but basically they'll be activating something, pay 600, and if you have Lycoris on the field or Candina on the field, you just keep burning them. Trickstar Lightstage, you just keep burning them. Really degenerate, but it's kind of fun. I also do play the 1 Despian Quaertus. This card I feel like is only really strong in the Despia mirror match, and because I'm playing like Despia cards, it could come up. And another absolute staple for the format, I play 1 Predaplant Dragostapelia. If I banish it, whatever, it's not a big deal. I rather just get the main deck monsters in rotation, but this could come up. Onto the side deck, not necessarily too perfect. I'm still tweaking it. I haven't decided if I want to play more hand traps or not, but you'll see what I'm playing right now. So I'm playing 1 Zombie World and 1 Necro World Banshee. This is basically to kind of pseudo shut down the Sword Soul matchup, or basically Floodgate Fluanderies. So it has its application and it's easy to send off and kind of get this part going. All right, don't judge me too harshly with my 2 ofs, but I'm playing 2 Super Poly. If you can fit 3, fit 3. I'm just trying to figure out what is probably best for the format currently. I also play 2 Triple Tactics Talent in the side. I wanted to play 3. I wanted to play cards like Change of Heart, but I mean, this card is Pot of Greed and Change of Heart, and it also has Confiscation in it. And if I'm hand looping people in a way, like, I don't know, I kind of want to try it. I want to play 3, but you know, the extra deck and the side deck, I'm sorry, is just too tight. Haven't quite figured out what I want to maximize with yet. So as I mentioned, no hand traps in the side, but I am maximizing on traps. And for that, I'm playing 2 Trap Tricks. This makes more sense. And by the way, 2 Traps Tricks, I've said this in my Layer of Darkness deck profile video, 2 Trap Tricks is the optimal ratio because you do not want to end up top decking a 3rd copy. It does not work out well. Because of Trap Trick, that essentially allows me to play 2 of traps and kind of get away with it. So moving on, we play 2 Heavy Storm Dusters. Trap Trick, of course, can act as the 3rd or 4th copy. So great, because I respect back row decks. Trickstar Lightstage arguably can handle stuff like that, but it only handles face down cards. So Heavy Storm Duster, because anti-spell fragrance is a thing. I also play 2 Dimensional Barrier, another staple of this format in my opinion. The only downside is that you really have to have it answer back, and hopefully you can just OTK them after you just stop them for a whole turn. Really great versus Sword Soul and really great against Despia. And hands down, one of my other favorite cards, I play 3 Evenly Matched. This is a must play in the format. This kind of covers all back row decks, all combo decks, as long as you can bait those negates out. And if any adventure token decks are existing, I'm not too sure who would actually play them at this current moment because the ban list is so fresh. I think Brave PK is one, not Prank Kids, rip Prank Kids, but Evenly Matched, if they have the token on board and you can play through the negates, this is a pretty good card. So that's the deck profile portion. Let's go ahead and move on to the really nerdy stuff. I strongly recommend you guys check out this section, so then that way you can learn why I'm playing such ratios for certain things and the full breakdown. And if you guys stick through it, I'll probably even throw in some combos here, maybe towards the end, but honestly, just keep watching and you'll enjoy it, I promise. And if not, just, I mean, look at the pretty colors, all right? I worked really hard on this. All right, so this is the spreadsheet section of the presentation. We're gonna go ahead and showcase to you guys over here on the left. I don't have my mouse showing for you guys, but you can see this is the deck here, this is the extra deck, and this is the side deck. We already went over that. And if you somehow just skipped all this, go rewind back. I don't know what you're doing. Anyways, so we have the main deck, 45, extra deck. I said this before, and we're going to go ahead and show you guys some of the probabilities. So how did I get some of this? It's basically through hypergeometric distribution calculator. If you don't know what that is, it's just a fancy word for probability, math, and population of like things such as a deck size and how often. Anyways, I'm rambling. So here we have probability of if we go first or second, first in green, pink in going second. And let's go ahead and just kind of reveal some of the information here. This min and max section here is essentially just what it's talking about for the minimum and maximum hand traps and ratio, and then a bonus section here for versus back row. This is just like for the breaker section only. And then let's go ahead and reveal. I keep rambling on, I'm so sorry. This is kind of my first time presenting this. So going first, 6 hand traps. What's the probability of me opening 1 or 2 hand traps? That information is told right here. So opening 1, I have about a 52% chance, of almost a 53 if I'm being generous. Opening 2 is about 12%. And then we can see that is true. Basically, if I was running min or maximum, this is to calculate if I were to bring in cards from the side deck into the main deck. And I can adjust this quickly just to see what the math is later. But the more interesting one is for the breakers. So I play 2 breakers in the main. That would be Fallen of Albaz because he's like a pseudo super poly. So the chance of me opening 1 in my main deck would be 21%. Opening both of them is about a 1% chance. Really good for the small world package, and also really good for, you don't want to draw 2. That would be just horrible. And then the maximum, this takes into account of what if I were to bring in cards from my extra deck, or from my side deck into the main deck. What am I looking at? Basically, it's about almost really close to 70% of seeing at least 1 within my first hand, or maybe 25% chance there. This here, the slot number section, is essentially just probability if it's being card number 1, if not number 2, and so on and so forth. So, or seeing 1 in slot 1, and so on and so forth. And then versus back row, so you can see that the breakers are actually higher here. I went and included Trickstar Lightstage. This is specifically versus spell and trap cards. So Trickstar Lightstage does have that ability to kind of force a back row, and if it can't be activated during that time of being targeted, or during the end phase, I counted it as a back row hate essentially. And the probability is basically I'm hopefully not losing to like back row decks. Going second, you can see that the probability here is actually a lot higher. And it's basically what I went over, except I'm going to draw 6 cards, or I'm going to see 6 cards. That's that math portion here. You can see that here, that's not the super exciting part. Most people just really enjoy this little section here, so I'll go ahead and reveal that here. So you can see, as mentioned before, opening hand of seeing 1 or 2 hand traps, we have a 52% or 12% removal in the main. That is not a secret or anything here. Let's go ahead and clean up some of these things here. Some more pretty graphs as to far what the main deck and side deck and utility of each card, and what I think, how it's broken down. A lot of these are potentially arguable, but these are just what made most sense to me. And then a lot of really cool stuff down here that I'll get into, such as my 2 million test hands. I know, pretty excessive. I'll go ahead and go into that probably further down the line. So if you guys didn't know, Small World is an amazing card. It essentially is a way for me to turbo out the Droll and Lock combo, and according to my calculations, I was able to identify that the rate of me pulling this combo off is about 14.4%, which in theory doesn't sound high, but when Trickstars were meta back in 2019, being piloted by Ryan Yu, I ran his math, and you'll be shocked to hear that his calculations, or my calculations for his deck, was actually 8.3% chance of getting the Droll and Lock combo. And that was actually like a really devastating combo, and the difference is a 6% difference. So I am 6% more likely to see the Droll and Lock combo, and that's all through Small World. If anybody's interested on how I came to this conclusion with this probability and such, I actually took some inspiration from a YouTuber named FlipFlipShift, and he has a video on an awesome program that he created, and I essentially just went through his Yu-Gi-Oh simulator, his really basic one, to be honest, to get like the numbers off, and put in my own numbers, put in my own cards, and I highly recommend you guys check it out if you guys are interested in this project. So with his tool, I was able to run 2 million test hands in theory of my build versus Ryan Yu's 2019 undefeated 400-man tournament. But I know Team Samurai X1 put a video on it, And can you guys tell I'm a huge nerd about this? And down below, I basically have every possible combination of like playable hand. So then I was able to use basically this knowledge of what cards I want to see and create another report that got me this table here to then calculate that the average game plan, I like to call it, of 1 million hands, where I open a playable or ideal hand would be 92.96% or 94.53% if I include like 2 hand traps, because 2 hand traps in most pro decks will say that's a pretty decent defensive play. So then hopefully on your next draw, you essentially have a playable hand or a starter of some sort to play the game again because you protected yourself the first turn or second turn. Trickstars were definitely known to be very bricky, but honestly, after all this calculation and Small World being a card that just exists, you're really consistently able to see like the different strategies of either going for the branded line or the Despian line or the Trickstar line. So the Droll and Lock combo percentage with the Extravagance build, aka my build, this is already known. It's at a 14.4% as showcased up here and from the data below. And I don't have Prosperity, but I definitely wanted to run the math to see how much more consistent I can do the Droll and Lock combo. And it was like a way for me to see if I can justify, you know, spending, I don't know, $360 just for an extra bit of consistency. And I will say this, no deck needs Prosperity, but I can guarantee once it becomes cheaper, it's definitely a nice card just to have. So I ran the math. How much more consistent would it be if I were to play Extravagance? Using the Python program from Flip Flip Shift, tweaking the numbers, throwing some things in there, throwing on the test hands, I came to the conclusion that the bonus comes from 14% to 17%, about 14.5% to 17%, which is a difference of 2.6%. So I have to ask, is $360 worth that much for consistency? You know, an extra 2.5%? In my opinion, no. What could be cool though is that it may open like the access code line, as far as like maybe you throw in like an effect veiler, so you can go through the whole Celine combo that goes into access code. It's not super necessary. I feel like this is stronger in some way. And if anybody's interested, this is my trials that I went ahead to get that information. I wanted to also give a quick shout out to a few other people within the community. I absolutely love these tools and love utilizing them. I strongly recommend you go ahead and check these out yourself. Up first, we have Kilburn Small World Yu-Gi-Oh API. This tool has been super helpful and can really teach a lot of people how to properly use Small World or different use cases. And I also wanted to give a shout out to Yishan McNabb and his Small World script. He also gave a shout out to Gabe, so I also wanted to give Gabe a shout out. Basically, with these tools, you're able to search any card you want, and you can go ahead and showcase like an image view so you can visually see how it works out. But if you wanted to search an Aluber, or if you wanted to use it as a starter or a bridge or target to add, like if you wanted to filter it out specifically, you can use these filters. And from here, you can see with Small World and Droll and Lockbird, using these bridges, you can go ahead and get Aluber. Fantastic. Super easy. Makes it super simple. I highly recommend you guys check these out. But real quick scan, this is all the ways you can just search Aluber. How neat is that? And just like that, your branded fusion stuff is online. Here's another line of basically how to search out Candina. Look at all these options. Fantastic, it works. And I'll go ahead and showcase to you guys how I'm basically also searching Droll and Lockbird real quickly. And these are all the ways that we're getting to Droll and Lockbird. Very consistent, it just works. It's fantastic, highly recommend it. Check it out yourself. Yep, just like that. Sorry if I scrolled too fast, but you guys should definitely go look at this for yourself. So there you guys have it, my full in-depth breakdown of my Trickstar Despia deck profile. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. I'm out of here.